Hello, everybody. I am really excited to be here today with you. And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thanks again for joining into this conversation and taking the opportunity for us to really be able to enjoy and experience what is true and what is exciting about AI in the world of human resources in particular. So we're going to be doing a deep dive into how we can leverage generative AI to accelerate the HR function. All right, this is our goal. We want to accelerate who we are as HR professionals and HR practitioners by leveraging technology, by having this opportunity to take advantage of the tools that are available out there that can actually help us accelerate the role and increase the impact of human resources in our business organizations. Now, I know we're also going to be exploring how AI and technology and humanoid robotics are creating disruption across a plethora of different industries, different professions. But right now, our focus is in the area of human resources. So I'm super excited to see everybody who's joining us. David, great to see you from California. Such a wonderful reconnection. Lisa, thanks for joining us from Florida. I see Egypt, I see Turkey. I am incredibly excited that we have a global team, a global audience, and a global conversation that's taking place. And quite honestly, isn't that part of the power and excitement of technology, such that we can all come together from around the world to be part of this conversation, to be trendsetters in this dialogue, and to be able to learn together and apply practical applications together. My name's Dianna Willis. I am passionate about the world of human resources and the world of technology. The conversation I'm most excited about is where technology and humans interact, where that cross section is. I was watching an amazing YouTube video from MIT last night. And one of the things that I took away from that is that the design of humanoid technology is intentionally designed because our world has been designed around humans. And therefore, it just makes logical sense that when we're designing robots, we want them to have similar form factors, right? Otherwise, we'd have to change the whole way that our world is designed. And it was like a poof moment, completely made sense. Maya, great to see you from California as well. Really excited to have such great minds and excited, enthusiastic folks coming together in this conversation. We're going to continue to have these on an ongoing basis. Ethiopia, welcome. It's so great to see everyone here. So again, my passion is in this space, the intersection of humans and technology. So where we're going next is we're going to do a deep dive into the world of human resources. And again, remember, whether you are an HR practitioner or you happen to be a leader in your organization, the truth is that we all deal with human resources, right? We're all involved in that conversation. So let's go ahead and let's take a deep dive into how we can leverage technology in such a way that we can accelerate and we can really increase dramatically the impact that we have in HR. So first off, let's talk a little bit about some of the common barriers and the challenges that we face in this space. Oftentimes, HR practitioners may be a little bit nervous about bringing technology into the work environment. For those of you who have been in the practice for some time, you'll remember those initial moments when technology and business processes and systems were coming into place. Those technologies, there was a fear, a very real fear that existed inside of the HR profession that our jobs might go away. We were so accustomed to having face-to-face physical interaction with people. Many were accustomed to having paper and pencil. And here came these computers, and they were going to start taking our jobs away. You remember those days? Well, look at where we are now. In fact, what's happened is that those technologies have actually enhanced what we're able to do, right? Generative AI is actually, I believe, no different than that. So in fact, the more we can effectively embrace these technologies and actually put them to work for us, it will in fact accelerate, again, our ability and our impact as a profession. And it will accelerate and impact and accelerate our impact as leaders in our businesses. So let's talk a little bit about how we get past those challenges of the complexities of the tools, those perceptions that maybe I don't have the technical knowledge and I have a big learning gap that I need to take on, or maybe it's, again, that fear of job displacement. So let's just break those down and let's start addressing those concerns. And that's part of what this conversation is really about today. So we're going to go through 3 areas. I want to do a deep dive into demystifying AI for HR. So demystifying how we can utilize AI around those human resources aspects of our organization and of our business, all right? Second is that I want to talk a little bit about navigating through generative AI tools. And again, our focus today is on generative AI tools. We're going to take a look at humanoid robotics down the road. We're going to take a look at other things that are happening in the world of technology and AI as well as we continue this discussion. Today, we're going to navigate generative AI tools. In fact, my intention is that we'll actually do a little demo today as well. And we're going to take advantage of some ChatGPT. I want you to walk away with some really powerful nuggets that you can put into action right away and work with between today and next week when we come back together again. And then the third area that we're going to focus in around is around, again, the ethical aspects. So how do we integrate AI ethically and responsibly into the work that we're doing? All right. So let's take a little deep dive into each of those 3 areas. First of all, demystifying AI for HR. So when we think about AI, artificial intelligence, that truly is taking technology and natural language processing and large learning models. It is taking those kinds of technologies and utilizing those in a way that, simplified, helps to replicate the human experience. And it replicates the human experience in such a way that it allows us to leverage those tools to accelerate what we're doing. Okay, so this is really a simple, basic way of looking at AI and its relevance. Now, as an HR profession, we might be thinking, well, how do I apply something like that? What are the things that I can do? Short of the tools we've talked about in the past, and many of you are familiar with, the HR management systems, the applicant tracking systems, the learning management, short of those things, how do we really bring and take advantage of the knowledge, if you will, that is living inside of these new models? And how do we apply that? And that'll be the demo, that'll be the example that we play with here in just a few minutes. The next piece is, how do we make sure that we make the technology accessible to a profession that, honestly, my experience has been that as a profession, we have struggled to really close the gap. And I choose struggle for a reason. I think that it's a self-made belief that somehow HR is still that touchy-feely, or there's the technology. But there's this bridge that happens. Remember, that's the conversation. Those of you who know me, that's the conversation that I'm passionate about. And I've been passionate about for a while. Remember, one of my very first presentations when I was young in my career, one of my very first presentations was very simply called HR is from Venus, IT is from Mars. That concept that somehow HR and IT spoke very different languages, but the power is in the bridge, in being able to bring those two together. So for us as HR practitioners, anyone who's here in the room as an HR professional or is in the room as a leader who has a very strong orientation in the understanding of the human dynamics in the organization, it is incredibly important, and I really want this invitation to land with you, to realize that You have the technical chops. You've got that capability. You're living in it today. We are in that technology environment right here today on this conversation. What Zoom has allowed us to do. We have Uganda on the phone now. We have Egypt on the phone again. India is here with us. The US is here with us. That is all living in the technology world. And so we're in it. And I really, really have that invitation. I want you to embrace that we are living it today and we have that power. All right. The next piece is navigating generative AI tools. So in navigating generative AI tools, one of the things that I think is really important is to understand that tools, generative AI tools like ChatGPT, for example, or Claude AI, when we think about those tools, and there are a plethora of other similar tools. When we think about those, really what they're doing is that they are helping us access knowledge. They're helping us access content that exists today. Here was another very interesting and intriguing nugget that came through that video, that YouTube video I was telling you about from MIT last night. And that is that there are some predictions that are out there that suggest that AI learning, which is the basis for our generative AI tools like ChatGPT and like Claude AI and others, that the AI learning will actually be limited very soon by the quantity of knowledge and content that exists, that's available in all videos and on the internet and all libraries. It will actually become limited by the availability of that content. Now that's a pretty interesting perspective to start doing a deeper dive on. So does that mean that somehow AI will become constrained by what humans we have already created? Here was one of the theses that they shared. There are other sources of information that we have not yet tapped into that can actually help continue to grow and accelerate AI's learning. For example, having AI present and listening in and learning during conferences where conversations are taking place, ideas are being formulated, thoughts are being generated, taking place inside of meetings with our work colleagues, where there is creativity, where there's exploration that's happening, and all of these are actually learning environments. Now, why is that important? Why that is important to us as an HR practitioner and as a leader in our organizations is that we can actually then tap into the learning that's taken place with these tools or inside of these tools. We can tap into that learning and we can use that knowledge, use that learning, interact with it in a dialogue to actually help create new solutions. How cool is that? I mean, when I think about that, all of a sudden, we've got a colleague sitting next to us that has access to all of this information and continues to learn by virtue of its interaction with us. We have access to a very interesting and collaborative colleague through the tools like generative AI. So that's where we're going to explore a little bit, and we're going to navigate actually hands-on through ChatGPT. I want to share an example with you, and I think you might be quite surprised and excited about the particular example and the applications that you see, and it'll be part of the invitation. The third area that I mentioned again has to do with integrating AI in a way that is ethical and responsible. So last week, we talked a bit about how do we eliminate biases when we're leveraging technology? How do we ensure that we eliminate biases? How do we ensure that we can really streamline things in such a way that we're creating inclusive environments? All right. And that we acknowledged last week also that these tools are designed by humans who often bring forward their natural biases, okay? So those biases, they actually get integrated in to the design of the tool. which makes it even more important for us to make sure that we're putting our filters on it and that we're being transparent. So inside of the space of integrating AI in an ethical and responsible way lives the importance of transparency. So as we're using a tool, we want to ensure that the information that we're putting in is as neutral as possible or is acknowledged. If there is a bias that's being introduced that we're aware of, that it is actually acknowledged in the introduction of that content into the tool. We also want to make sure that when we create content utilizing the tool, that we are acknowledging and we are revealing the utilization of that tool. So in the practical example that we're going to walk through, we're going to leverage ChatGPT and its knowledge to create the baseline or the basics of a performance management program. So we'll actually give some instruction to ChatGPT. We'll create a performance management program utilizing its knowledge. And from there, it will give us the launching off pad to be able to customize and refine and to accelerate, to really build on the actual program, the thing that you might want to roll out to your organization. You might want to introduce to your team, or you might want to actually refine and change altogether, but we're going to have that basic to start with. And then next week, we're actually going to look at how ChatGPT, as an example, is being integrated in, or these generative AI tools are being integrated in to other tools in order, again, to help accelerate the work, okay? So this is the area of the ethical and responsible utilization, okay? Because the fact is that our human interaction with the tool, it's a great point, Maza, which you just raised. What we want to make sure is happening is that we continue to have a governor on the content that's being generated through these tools. And that's where this becomes a very strong partnership, okay? So from an ethical standpoint, responsible utilization, remember that it's always important that we're being transparent with where we've chosen to utilize these tools, where we've chosen to use them perhaps to help build a base and then move forward. And it's like referencing a source. So if you remember back in your school days when perhaps you were in a college program or advanced program, and whenever you referenced content, whenever you pulled information from a place, you always wanted to make sure that you referenced where it came from. You referenced what that basic was, all right? So it's very similar to that. Let's apply those same applications, and that will help keep us on the ethical and responsible path. All right, so with the demo, I'm going to go through into ChatGPT, and I'm going to do a very quick demo for us. With the demo, what I want you to see and to be able to take away from this are, first off, I want to show you how we can leverage this tool to actually be able to enhance our efficiency. Okay, and it's basically, it's being used as a tool to streamline our creative process in this case. All right, so this would be the application. In effect, it's also helping to reduce some of the manual workload that often goes in on the front end of designing any program, whether it's a performance management program, or it's building a new business strategy, or it's designing a marketing program. All right, so I want you to take away by seeing how this tool and the application, the way that I utilize it, can actually help enhance efficiency. The second takeaway that I want you to have is I want you to see how it can actually help personalize the experience. So we're going to have a brief conversation. You'll see me have a dialogue with certain cues that are taking place around this creation. It'll be a dialogue with ChatGPT, all right? So you'll see that happen. And then the third takeaway that I want you to have is to really be able to start considering how the tools, generative AI, can help us make better informed decisions, better informed designs, better informed solutions. Because remember, the content that we're tapping into in this particular example, the content has been created by virtue of the learning that has taken place, the machine learning that has taken place of content that it has existed previously, all right? So the dialogue is exceptionally important here, and you'll see how this plays out. All right, now, after I do the demo, I'll come back on again, and I want to hear from you some of the things, and feel free to drop things into the chat as well. Just know I won't have visibility into the chat while I'm doing this demo here. All right, so let's take a quick peek at this, and I'm excited to share with you this very brief demo. We're going to go into ChatGPT, and inside of ChatGPT, I want to be able to show you here the actual results of doing this little demo here. All right, so let's go ahead and go here. All right, so you should be able to see my screen now, and I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little demo here. So remember, what we're interested in doing is leveraging this particular tool in such a way that it's going to help us build a foundation. Our use case in this example is going to be a performance management program. So most of you have probably been exposed to different performance management programs, performance reviews, rating scales. You've likely been exposed to what we call in HR, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So we're going to create something. Our context is that this is a brand new program. It's going to be a smaller organization. In fact, let me give a little bit of this context, and let's go ahead and we'll just start generating this so you can see how I can leverage these tools in such a way that it helps us get there. All right, so first off, I'm using ChatGPT 3.5. It's very, very powerful. There is no cost associated with it. And you'll see very quickly how the learning just in this version helps me accelerate my program design. It brings more efficiency to my design. So first of all, I'm just going to go ahead and start interacting a little bit here, and I'm going to give some context, all right? So I'm going to tell ChatGPT what persona I want it to represent. That's an important element. You can actually tell the tool if you want the tool to be a very seasoned HR practitioner who has many years of experience, or maybe a first-time HR manager who is in a smaller organization, and that will affect the way that the tool responds. And you'll see this dialogue here. So first of all, you are a seasoned HR executive who leads a team of 5,000 employees in 24 different countries. Okay, you have been asked to create. So now we're going to tell, so we've given just a little bit of context here, who we want ChatGPT to personify. We're going to give some instruction, what this persona has been asked to create a new performance management program. Okay. Program that has a rating scale. So remember, in performance programs, we generally have a rating scale of performance. Sometimes it's a 3-point, a 5-point. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to say it's a 5-point scale. We're going to say that 5 is the highest rating, and we're going to ask for definitions of those ratings too. Okay, scale of 5 points, with 5 being the highest rating. Okay. Now, please provide a structure for the performance review program and include, remember, I want to tell it, I'm being instructive here. The way I'd like you to think about how you can interact with these tools and really leverage them to help you accelerate. Remember, this is about accelerating our impact, which means that we're doing it more efficiently, more effectively, more timely. We're building a solid base, and then we're going to bring our knowledge to apply to it. So it allows us to move faster and higher impact. Okay, so it's a dialogue. So what we're doing here is that we're actually instructing. Imagine if you were giving instructions to somebody on your team and you were saying to them, hey, you know what? I'd like you to really approach this project as if you're a seasoned HR professional. You lead a team of 5,000. We've got 5,000 people in our company. We've got 24 different countries represented. And I'd really like you to think about, how would you design a new performance management program? See, it's the instructions. So that's what I want you to be thinking about. That's how we interact with this. All right. So we're going to ask it, please provide a structure for the performance review program and include definitions for each of the performance levels. Let's just keep it simple with that. Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll just generate this out. So what it's doing right now is it's giving an introduction, an overview. Look at this. It's already giving us what the 5 levels are: exceed, outstanding, the process itself, goal setting, regular check-ins, and I'll scroll back through up to the top again as we look at this. So look at what's happening. It's even putting it in context of how we would roll this out. This is amazing, you guys. This is really, really powerful. So fundamentally, what we've done right now is we've built a basis. Boom, just like that. Now, this tool has generated that basis upon the context that I gave it, that we're a larger organization, which implies immediately that there will be a bigger rollout plan, that we're in multiple countries, which means that we need to make sure that the program is designed to capture the nuances of different cultures and different perspectives. And the fact that we've got a very discrete element here as well around the 5-point rating scale. So look at what this thing did for us just right now. The introduction, the context. It's given us the rating scale on 5 points, along with definitions. So these are common definitions. These are elements of definitions. And again, this is not intended to be the final answer. This is intended to be a way to accelerate your impact, to be able to have the basis, bring your knowledge, be able to fine-tune this, design then from here to have an impact in your organization, with your teams, with your leadership. What is the process going to be? They even outlined the process for us. Makes sense. We asked it to. We asked it to design a process, including the rating scale. And so it's giving us what that process is. So very quickly, you can see now how something like this helps to accelerate. Now, here's something else that's really cool, is that we can even refine the design. So let me show you that very quickly here. If we just say, let's imagine, please refine this design for a 20-person company. All right, beautiful. So we just asked it to refine the design for a 20-person company. It's shortening it. It's making it more precise. Look at what's happening. All right. So now we're in a dialogue. All right. So that's what I want you to take away with this, is that the tool, these tools, these generative AI, they're designed to be a dialogue for us. All right. So with that demo, hopefully that gives you an idea, gives you a perspective of how we can actually leverage these kinds of tools in such a way that it allows us to accelerate, build that base. All right. It gives us the opportunity to be able to enhance our efficiency. It gives us the ability to then personalize that experience. And then in that, you saw the dialogue that was taking place, right? And then also, now we have a basis for better data-informed decisions driven that way, okay? So with that, remember, as you now have this kind of basis, you start utilizing these tools. I'd love to hear some of the ideas and some of the ways that you may start using these types of interaction in your own organization. And go have fun with it. Get out there, take advantage. Like I said, you have ChatGPT 3.5, the free platform. You just saw how some of that interaction happens and how quickly it can happen. All right. So I'd love to hear and interact with me on LinkedIn. Share a little bit about how you're applying it. What are some of the things you're learning? And as we go deeper into this area next week, we're really going to start accelerating and looking at how do these generative AI tools get blended in to other tools that we're using to help, again, accelerate our work. So for example, there's a tool out there, some of you have heard me mention about it in the past, called Process Pro. It actually has generative AI fully integrated into the tool. You can go from a blank sheet to a starting point process, literally as quickly as you just saw this happen here, and then refine and make it yours, okay? So the importance for us as an HR profession and as leaders in our organization who are responsible for people, are responsible for the human interactions, are responsible for really accelerating what's happening in our work environment and in the workplace. The importance of these AI tools, I hope that you're starting to see it with me as well, and what some of the future possibilities are as we really get in and we learn together. So thank you again for joining. I would love to see you again next week and hear more about, between now and next week, hear more about how you're applying these tools. You can join us. You can sign up for the next event, hrtrendsetters.com, hrtrendsetter.com. And also remember that it's not AI that's going to take your job. It's the person who knows how to use AI. And that's what we're all about in this conversation. This dialogue is, how do we leverage AI and humanoid robotics? How do we leverage this incredible explosion that's taking place and help us become even more effective? So until next week, let's continue to be trendsetters and let's lead the way. Thank you so much for joining me. It was great seeing everybody here, and I really look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care now.